Help support Friendo Club by going to patreon.com/Steven Larson or clicking join at youtube.com/Steven Larson. Access to bonus episodes, question threads for the Going In Raw podcast, and entry to our monthly wrestling predictions challenges. Join the Friendo Club today. Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome to a special Going In Raw in person. And twice in a week we're in person, Larson. Wow. Wowie, wow.
Anyways, the universe has dictated that we're going to be around each other a lot this week. What can I tell you?
Look, man, a lot of news dropping over the past, 2 weeks. The continuing saga of the Cody, Roman, Rock, WrestleMania stuff. There was a pretty beefy Fightful Select report that dropped yesterday that we're going to talk about. Also, DAmore Out as a guy there in TNA.
President of TNA.
President of TNA. You know, man, I like my titles to be a lot more informal, Larson.
Very well.
You know, that's, if I'm not mistaken, our partnership agreement, I'm listed as Guy. Steve here, Guy at Going In Raw.
All right, then am I also, and Larson, also Guy.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, I'll be dude. Hey, I like the title of dude.
So this is this WrestleMania build is pretty unique, Larson. There's a lot of stuff going on these days.
You know, you could say, the last three maybe. Because the 38 is when Cody came back to WWE, and there was a lot of intrigue. Is Cody coming back? Is he not coming back?
Yeah.
Who's he going to face? There was all that. Nothing to the degree of this, where honestly, I have no idea what's going on.
I feel like the last time something like this was more like the Daniel Bryan thing, but that was really just WWE sort of pivoting their creative in a response to a massive fan backlash. And that's sort of wrapped up in what's going on today.
That could play a role in this still.
So let's start off with a Fightful Select report that came out yesterday. So Fightful noted that while many have speculated that this entire situation has been a work from the start, Fightful states that, quote, if this is or was a work, there were numerous parties that had not been clued in on such as of last Friday.
SmackDown, yeah.
Right. How things have evolved since then are much less clear. Fightful, end quote. Fightful also states that the working plan before the Rumble was that CM Punk would be taking on Seth Rollins, which was relayed to CM Punk, but shifted to Cody versus Seth Rollins as of last week. Fightful also reports that they heard that on the day of the Rumble, quote, several in creative were told The Rock versus Roman Reigns was the plan, and merchandise had been produced to promote it. So we'll pause there really quick. If CM Punk versus Seth Rollins was the plan from the get-go, and Rock versus Roman was the plan since January 1st or 3rd, depending on when the deal was in place for Rock to come back as a TKO board of directors member and have a match at WrestleMania as part of his incentives package or his milestones package.
Yeah.
What was Cody Rhodes going to do?
I know. And apparently, if Rock Roman was decided on January 3rd, apparently that wasn't relayed to really anybody until maybe. This is all still very nebulous in terms of the exact details. But it seems like the principals involved in the matches, Punk, Seth, Cody, Roman, were not aware that was going to be Rock Roman, perhaps as late as the day of the Royal Rumble.
Although, in the lead up to the Rumble, so there does seem to be a 3.5 week or so span between the time that it was decided that Rock and Roman Reigns was going to be the Mania main event and Cody finding out. And during that span of time, evidently, Cody had been told that him versus... I have a conspiracy theory, Larson.
Ooh.
That him versus Cody would be the thing at WrestleMania.
What, Cody versus Cody at WrestleMania? Rawgate technology.
That's going to be Cody's match at WrestleMania. Sorry, it's hard to wrap
Cody versus Roman. There's a lot going on here. I know.
So, okay. Let's sort of lay this out. Well, let's finish talking about this stuff, and then we'll lay it out.
Yeah, we'll lay it out. So regarding rumors and reports that Roman versus The Rock was planned as far back as January 3rd, Fightful reports, quote, we have heard from WWE sources that there were meetings on January 1st and others along the way that indicated to Cody Rhodes that the creative direction had not changed and he was slated to face Reigns at WrestleMania. Up until the week prior to the Royal Rumble, no other parties that we'd heard from or have spoken to since were made aware. To the best of our knowledge, a select group of people were informed Royal Rumble weekend that the direction had changed.
So it seemed like that weekend, which, I mean, Saturday is the Rumble, so if that weekend could mean Friday, I guess, if we're, being technical about it, I guess. But evidently, Rumble weekend is when people, you would assume Cody'd be one of them, were made aware that Rock Reigns would be the deal. Saturday night, Cody won the Rumble, pointed at Roman Reigns.
He said, I want you.
I want you. So, sources also told Fightful that Cody Rhodes expressed to WWE Creative that the reaction to his segment on Friday SmackDown with The Rock, quote, wouldn't be the desired one, and stated that Cody was in a, quote, somber mood afterwards. I believe I'm not mistaken, Sean Ross Sapp also said that other people echoed that sentiment that were sort of in the room, so to speak, about that reaction not being a good one.
I mean, heck, Cody was in a somber mood and he left the ring after shaking The Rock's hand.
He was on camera at somber.
Very somber.
Other sources informed Fightful that the decision, quote, goes all the way up to Ari Emanuel and Mark Shapiro and was even above Nick Khan and Triple H. So we're led to believe that on January 1st, The Rock struck a deal with WWE to come back.
January 3rd.
January 3rd. The Rock struck a deal with WWE, come back, become a TKO board of directors guy. And part of that involved facing The Rock at this year's...
Rock versus Rock at WrestleMania?
Facing Roman Reigns at this year's WrestleMania. Okay? And that here's the thing. And Dave Meltzer mentions this, but again, I kind of feel like it's just sort of his own speculation, but it makes sense. It's educated speculation that even though the decision went above Triple H and Nick Khan and Triple H would have known about it.
Yeah, I believe he said something to that effect, that Triple H would have had to have been aware that the decision to have the Mania match be changed to Roman versus Rock was made, and he was aware of that prior to the Rumble. Yes.
Which would mean during that span of time, when Cody was told that it would be him versus Reigns, one of two things is true. Either Triple H was lying to him, or it might have been just one of those like lying is a strong word. It might have been one of those real world situations where, you know how the real world is kind of just messy?
Yeah.
Like, hey, yeah, right now we're looking at, I'm doing like a toned down Triple H. Right now we're looking at you and Reigns.
Yeah.
But it might be you versus you. It might be Rock versus Rock. It might be Roman versus Rock because we got this new deal. It might be Rock versus Rock. That'd be the biggest match of all time.
Well, because like all throughout last month, Cody did a lot of interviews, and he was asked about the possibility of The Rock being involved in WrestleMania. And he said numerous times, I don't think there's any way that he would get in the way of my story,
but then
essentially.
He backtracked on the subsequent interview saying, I kind of sounded like a doofus saying that. So it makes me wonder if... Okay, so let's take that aside for a moment here.
All right.
This is where Conspiracy Steve starts to
I like
in.
Conspiracy Steve.
Okay, so...
Conspiracy Steve.
On, what was it? January, I want to say 14th and 15th is when... Wait, I had it written down, actually. I started to do a WrestleJuice video on this last night, and I got so tired.
There's a lot to try to wrap your head around here, because you got Meltzer and Alvarez saying this could be a work the whole time.
Oh, those dudes are all over the map.
Yeah, they're all over the map.
Okay,
with their takes on this.
Let's go back really quick, Larson, to November.
Okay.
What happened at Survivor Series?
CM Punk came back.
CM Punk came back. And what was the reports from backstage?
Everybody is upset.
Seth Rollins. Seth
and Drew McIntyre.
Right. So there seems to be, even though we know Seth Rollins was like, okay, yeah, he knew about it in advance.
Yeah.
That he was coming back.
Yeah.
So Seth Rollins was like, I'm gonna pitch a fit backstage. Why?
Lying backstage right in front of the War Games.
But more importantly than that,
cage. Yeah.
More importantly than that, backstage.
Yeah.
Why would he be acting backstage? Because
cameras are always rolling.
And there are sources back there that feed information to quote unquote dirt sheets.
Exactly.
Right. Not us.
We get no information.
Okay.
We regurgitate. That's all we do.
So, keeping this in mind, January 24th, Justin Barasso, a guy with a stellar reputation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Reported multiple sources close to Triple H have indicated that Rhodes will not headline this year's event, nor will he finish the story at WrestleMania. But there's a new chapter to be right with a marquee matchup against CM Punk. right? The next day, he retracted that and said,
Misinformation.
WWE is disseminating misinformation either to my previously reliable sources or through them or to them, confusing them as well.
Yeah.
So just the other day, February 5th, 2 days ago, PW Insider said, multiple sources have noted that The Rock is 100% performing in the ring at WrestleMania 40. That is a done deal. And as we noted on Saturday, likely something that was contractually locked in as one of the milestone Rock would be involved in as part of his TKO board of directors deal. We are told there is no scenario where Rock is not wrestling Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40 unless something unforeseen happens like an injury, which won't happen until the match because his quads are going to come falling off when he does leapfrog.
You know, now if here's the thing, if they had not included that last sentence, Rock will 100% be performing. That wouldn't necessarily mean wrestling.
You're right, because they do specify wrestling here.
If they just stuck to performing, well, he could be a special enforcer ringside, hit a rock bottom during the course of the match or shortly thereafter, and therefore he will be a performer in that match, not necessarily a competitor.
So here's where my conspiracy comes in. I think this might be misinformation too, along the same lines as the Justin Barasso stuff. Because the way this is phrased, The Rock is definitely performing at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, besides the CM Punk stuff, if things go the way we think they're going to go, all this shit is true. Cody's not going to finish the story at WrestleMania, and The Rock will 100%. But if Barasso catches wind that they're sending out misinformation, trying to like lead people astray, then I don't know. Honestly, I still think Fightful Select's kind of the only people we can believe, because that report was all just like talking to people within the organization, not a definitive timeline or accounting of what is going to happen.
Nope. It's a snapshot of the conversations being had backstage, seemingly.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I trust it more than anything. But so one of two things is going to happen tomorrow in Vegas. Either Cody's going to get into the match somehow, and we might get 2 nights of Cody Rhodes. Let me ask you this. So we asked the question before, what would Cody have done if Punk hadn't been injured? I wonder if maybe Drew McIntyre is sort of fulfilling the Punk role.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing now is just a variation on
Entirely
it would have been a triple threat.
Yeah.
Punk, Rollins, Cody.
Yeah.
Or maybe a fatal 4-way if you throw Drew McIntyre in there. But I kind of feel like Drew maybe would have done something else like Priest, Sammy, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the case. Maybe he would have been thrown into the Rollins thing. But also, I just don't buy necessarily. And again, it could have been a situation where, yes, Rhodes was led to believe that Cody was led to believe that he was going to have the Reigns match.
Yeah.
But maybe it was, even if it was a little bit more ambiguous in that, like, hey, right now this is the plan, but The Rock's doing this thing, man. So I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe the backstage, him being somber, was him playing for backstage.
Entirely
as well.
possible. I mean, when you see the segment play out live on SmackDown, you could see you can read that whole segment as Cody is selling the moment and having regrets about potentially giving up his spot to The Rock, and that could feed a story later on.
He looked somber at Raw during the promo.
He did. So it's entirely possible that all the stuff that Cody was doing on SmackDown during the segment with Roman and The Rock on Raw is all part of the performance telling a larger story. That's not to say, was this the plan going back to January 3rd? Or is this the plan going back to January 28th? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because there has been a lot of contradictory information, perhaps misinformation, being thrown around in the wrestling news circles of late. You're right. Fightful Select is at this point the one source I believe. Because
that's the thing.
They're consistent.
I'll reiterate.
They're consistent.
I'll reiterate. They don't try to Sean doesn't try to fill in the gaps. Like when he has speculation or opinion, he always states very explicitly. Yes. He doesn't sort of blur the lines between what is known and what is his opinion.
Yeah.
And number two, like you said, that's a perfect way to put it. It's a snapshot of the conversations being held backstage of people, of what they know, not this is happening at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So, and now, we're talking about a little bit later on today, Mercedes Moné stuff coming to AEW, and he, suspected that she was going to go. I trust Sean. I think he's good at what he does.
Yeah. Sean's the best in business right now.
Rock had also said, and we talked about this before on the Pat McAfee show, September 15th when he came to SmackDown, that they were this close to doing a match at Mania 39, which would have been Roman versus Rock. And they couldn't quite get there on the creative. And I'm paraphrasing because he was very, very sort of nebulous about it.
Doing something that hadn't been done before.
Right, exactly.
All this stuff, yeah.
And man, I don't know. What if he wanted to do what they're doing now a year ago? Cody was the guy that took on Reigns a year ago. He won the Rumble a year ago. What if Rock, and what if Vince was like, oh, no, I can't do, I'm just not supposed to do that anymore.
No.
But what if Vince was like, I don't know, that's too much. You're doing too much. Then there's a new sheriff in town, Triple H. He's heading up creative. And what if Rock is
wow,
like,
that's a great idea.
Hey, what if we really turn these fans on their heads?
Yeah.
And we end up telling this crazy, twisty story from the Rumble to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And because that's what it feels like right now. Now, maybe tomorrow in Vegas we'll get the most boring thing possible.
I know. Well, Cody will resign himself to just challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship, while The Rock's like, no, this match with Roman's all mine. And any sort of ambiguity in the situation is laid to rest over the next 2 months or so.
At some point, Cody's got to explain why. In character,
I know.
He's got to explain why he just gave it up.
The subtext of what he said was, I'm not the one who's capable of taking everything for a moment. I can only take that title from him, the Undisputed Universal Championship. But as Paul Heyman has made perfectly clear before, the championship is what gives Roman legitimacy as head of the table. Without world title, he loses legitimacy as head of table.
Yeah.
So they are linked. They are connected, the two things.
Yeah.
But if the idea is Cody can only take title, if that's the idea for the story they want to tell that they're pushing, Cody can only take the physical manifestation of best wrestler in the world, the Undisputed Universal title. But it's only The Rock that can take the title of head of the table tribal chief from Roman.
Yeah.
If they are splitting those two designations, then I guess I could see why Cody be like, I can only take one thing from it, but I can't take everything, and that's what I want to do. Therefore, Rock has to wrestle.
I mean, the one thing that
I don't think it's a good idea, but that's what I read it as.
The one thing that we have talked about was heading into whenever Cody takes on Roman Reigns, like Roman would be kind of a man alone.
Yeah.
Stripped of everything, so Cody can then say, I'm taking this last thing from you.
Yeah.
And it could absolutely be that. It could be Rock comes in, but like, I don't know if Rock wins, what then? You know, like how would this be accomplished? If Cody sends Rock after Roman, Rock would win the title. And so it's like there's nothing for Cody to take from Roman at that point.
I know.
It's just Rock becomes a proxy for Cody, in which case why wouldn't Cody just do it?
I know, exactly. And that's one of the issues with the approach they took, is if the match is for everything. It's for the title of Undisputed Champion, for the title of Tribal Chief. If Rock wins, he gets everything. Then Cody already said, my stated goal is to beat you, Roman.
Yeah.
I'm coming after you for that title.
Yeah.
But then you get the issue with Rock as your Undisputed Universal Champion if he were to win that match. And he would be on TV arguably less than Roman would be. How long would he hold that title till you would assume Roman would get it back from him?
Yeah.
Would it be a SummerSlam?
Yeah, right.
Would it be before then? Would it literally be a situation, if it were to happen, Rock beats Roman at WrestleMania only for Roman to get the belt back at, I don't know, the next Saudi show?
Saudi show, yeah. Yeah, but that's like not a big, I honestly don't know. Like I do, it does seem, even Seth Rollins seemed to like the whole Rocky sucks stuff. Like that's interesting in that dude, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
This is all a head scratcher. I mean, Thursday,
tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, tomorrow.
We'll know tomorrow.
Something will be illuminated in terms of what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, if it's a situation where, it could be simply a thing where they decide, all right, Cody, you're getting the night one main event. Or they can do the opposite, where it's The Rock gets the night one main event. He loses to Roman. Mm-hmm. And then Cody beats him night two.
Yeah.
Or you have Cody beat Roman night one, and then The Rock beat Roman night two. Mm.
They could look, if they were going to do a triple threat, Punk, Cody, Rollins night one, I mean, that's a way Cody can lose that. And now Drew instead of Punk.
Yeah.
he can lose that and not look like too much of an asshole and still show up night 2.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. If you got these crowds, and WWE's heavily leaning into the We Want Cody stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, look, I don't know. Look, I know Rock is an ego guy, but also at some point you got to figure he had to have put over Henry Cavill as Black Adam and Superman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe the idea is they're gonna do like a WrestleMania 9 thing, but Cody's the Hogan guy. They might do that because of the crowd. If Rock and Roman show up in Philadelphia for night 2, there is a distinct possibility that crowd is going to be chanting, "We want Cody"
for the entire 20 minutes of that match. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Oh man, 20.
Well,
I don't know. I feel like it's going to be.
I'm sure that's the time allotted.
Leapfrog, blown quads.
20 minutes the time allotted for it. You know.
Yeah, that crowd's going to be. And so, like, why not blow the absolute roof off that place by him showing up? You know what I mean? I don't know. I will say this. Yeah, go ahead.
How about this? What if Cody says this press conference tomorrow? They say, yeah, it's going to be Rock Roman. They go to Seth Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship. Cody's like, I'm reserving the right to cash in my Rumble match whenever I want to at WrestleMania. So be on your toes, everybody.
Yeah, right. I'm sneaky. Maybe I'll show up here. Maybe I'll show up there. Maybe I'll do both. I don't know.
Exactly. Maybe I'll be on night 1, night 2. Maybe I'll do both nights. Who knows? Maybe I'll walk out of WrestleMania with all the championships.
Right, exactly. Damian Priest, you're not doing much with that Money in the Bank right there. Can I have that?
Give that to me too.
Give that to me too, and then I'll give you a shot. Yeah, I don't know. I will say this though, with all these moving pieces at the very least over this past week, it has been one of the most intriguing WrestleMania builds I've ever seen. I mean, this sort of trumps even WrestleMania 13, when it seemed to just be sort of changing everything on a dime.
Yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, I don't know. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below, because and it is wild to see the various pro wrestling outlets try to wrap their heads around all this. Like Dave Meltzer's Twitter feed is wild.
It is trying to make sense. Yeah, I know of the various and probably conflicting information they're hearing, they're getting, and trying to fit that into a cohesive narrative.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
is difficult. I understand that. But I think we're at the point now, given that we've seen disinformation, misinformation put out there by WWE, that I don't think it's probably advantageous to try to fit everything, every detail into some sort of coherent narrative, because if you don't know what information is reliable or not, there's really no point in trying to fit it all into a narrative that you can try to make sense of.
Yeah, I know.
So, anyways, let's move on. This was surprising news today. This was
very surprising, yeah.
Anthem announced today, of course, they're the parent company of TNA, that they've let go of TNA President Scott D'Amore. PW Insider reports, quote, D'Amore has been terminated by TNA parent company Anthem Sports and Entertainment. The belief among those we have spoken with, the decision came directly from Anthem owner Len Asper. TNA parent company Anthem Sports and Entertainment will be stepping in and taking a much larger role in the day-to-day management and strategies of the promotion. TNA will be folded into Anthem's entertainment arm going forward, as opposed to existing in its own corner of the company. The idea is that this will allow TNA to become embraced more by Anthem and have a stronger synergy in order to maximize what each side has to offer the other. As part of that integration, D'Amore has been removed from power and is gone effective immediately. They add, PW Insider does, quote, the belief at this moment, but not 100% locked in stone, as there is a lot still in flux as I write this, I believe Mike Johnson wrote this report, is that the remaining members of TNA's creative team are still in place and will work as the liaisons between Anthem management and the TNA product, following the lead of what Anthem execs want going forward. It is expected that most of the behind-the-scenes logistical and production staff, if not all, will be remaining as well. We have heard nothing about talent wanting out because D'Amore is out. But certainly whenever there is a changeover like this, there are bound to be changes to the roster, especially the ones comfortable with the way things were before the change. And one last bit here from PW Insider, and we can take a break and talk about it. Regarding the question as to why D'Amore was let go, PW Insider states, quote, no one who we've spoken with seems to know any specific answer, not even to the point where they are privately voicing it in confidence. This literally could be exactly what is stated. that it was just a corporate restructuring that left DAmore lost at sea in the corporate game of musical chairs. The timing of all this seems really odd.
Yeah, it does.
Given that TNA just had the rebrand back to TNA following years as Impact Wrestling, trying to get away from the TNA branding.
The pay-per-view, the Hard to Kill pay-per-view was wildly successful, too.
It was.
I think it had, like, the most pay-per-view buys they've had in, like, I don't know, a long time or something like that, you know? This is odd. This is sort of something to keep. He'd been so synonymous with Impact Wrestling, and he had really sort of dug its reputation out from 6 feet under because, you know, before him and Don Callis, the Impact brand was basically dog shit.
Yeah.
And he's turning into something that a lot of people really appreciate and have a strong affection for.
Yeah.
But yeah, making heads or tails of why they would let him go at this point is kind of difficult.
It really is. It really is, because you would think, based on everything that you see from Impact TNA's product, especially the last 2 years, based on what we see on TV, you wouldn't think of anything based on how the product has improved and how the product's reputation has improved would lead to DAmore being let go.
Yeah.
And, you know, it could be what they're saying here is just a matter of corporate restructuring, and, you know, he was a casualty of that, but we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. It seems odd. It just seems very odd.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It'll be interesting to see as time moves on, you know, what the situation evolves into.
Yeah.
Before we get going on with this, so we got this big spoiler, perhaps, potentially, in this next one here.
Oh, there's more of the Impact stuff.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Anthem named Anthony Ciccione, who is the company's president of entertainment. As the new president of TNA, will oversee day-to-day operations and promotion. Fightful Select Data TNA talent and staff were notified of the move today, with one talent telling Fightful that, quote, they believed Anthem wanted the brand to be more closely associated with them as opposed to DAmore. While another talent stated in response, I can see that, but he saved TNA. So wait a second. DAmore worked for Anthem.
Yeah.
So, like, they were getting jealous that TNA was closely associated with the face of TNA, Scott D'Amore. Bob Anthem was pissed off. I don't get it. That doesn't make any sense
either. I don't get that either.
I don't get that. I mean, was he going rogue on them? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, there's some weird stuff here that it's like impossible to speculate on until there's more info. You know
Obviously,
what I
mean? Yeah. You know, like we said, basically every criteria you can look at from a business perspective and a programming perspective says that Scott D'Amore's tenure as president of Impact TNA has been a success for the company.
Yeah.
And to let him go at this moment when they're in the midst of this massive rebrand back to TNA, it seems an odd time to make such a move.
A little bit weird.
Very weird.
Very weird. Yeah. So anyways, before we continue on, I want to point this out really quick. We recently passed a massive milestone of our own.
Huge.
You know, it'd be nice if we had one of those rock style big money payouts for completing our milestones.
Yeah.
We just get our same monthly payout.
Instead of $30 million, hey, maybe we'll get $30.
So we recently passed 200,000 subscribers on the YouTube. And we are inviting our friendos to continue to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you like what you see here on the show, hit that subscribe button, the notify bell so you always get notified. We're on the road to 201,102 subs. You would prefer us just to wait on the milestone of 222,222, but I think every step, every goal is an exciting one, a worthy one of celebration, Larson.
I'm just looking into the future, like further into the future.
All right, fair enough. Well, I'm going to start looking at 33.
Let's do it.
All right. So we got that going on. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. We really appreciate the likes on the video. Makes us feel good.
Validation.
It's like eating a warm chocolate chip cookie when I see those likes.
Or oatmeal raisin for me.
That's a little bit more of a disappointment there.
No,
it's like
man.
less likes. Also, we've got ourselves the Friendo Club setup. It's like this Going in Raw fan club. So basically, if you want some bonus episodes, if you want question threads, if you want access to the Big Blue Predictions Challenge, then be sure to go to patreon.com/Steven Larson or click join right here at youtube.com/Steven Larson. It costs $5 a month to get access to everything I just talked about. Plus, it helps support Going in Raw because we're trying to get that Tribal Chief money, Larson. We don't want that Seth Rollins money. We want to do 1/10 of the work,
but make 10 times the money.
And the only way we can achieve that is if you go to patreon.com/Steven Larson.
The idea is that if everybody gets the Friendo Club set up, then we can get the Tribal Chief set up.
Isn't that like a Ponzi scheme or Amway? We call it the pyramid setup.
Oh, my God.
So anyways, also we got a bunch of new merch over at friendoshop.com. You can use Friendo 2024. I think the code is Friendo 2024.
Not 2020-4. 2024,
We're
like the year.
Celebrating 10 years of Going in Raw. You guys get the Friendo Club set up. We get the... Oh, man.
Oh, goodness gracious.
All right,
me.
so hey, Larson. Tony Khan's got a huge announcement tonight on the Dynamite.
Yeah.
Maybe he's going to get the Tribal Chief setup.
Maybe. But Boston's TD
Garden.
Spoiler from Boston. Boston's TD Garden may have spoiled the whole announcement. So if you want to avoid such spoiler
from Boston.
If you want to avoid the spoiler from Boston, then fast forward the questions, turn it off, whatever you want to do. Preferably don't turn it off.
Yeah, go to the Friendo Club setup.
Yeah. So anyways, Russell Votes was the first to point out, that I saw at least, that the arena advertised they'll be hosting an episode of All Elite Wrestling Dynamite on March 13th. Same day we speculated that show would be announced at TD Center. Well, maybe not TD Center, but Dynamite from Boston. And that could be the date of Mercedes Moné's. I still said it wrong. Mercedes Moné's AEW debut.
Why? Because she's from Boston.
Yeah.
My women's wrestler from Boston.
So, I would expect that would be Tony Khan's announcement tonight with some special title for the show. Similar to what they did with the first dance for Punk when he debuted at that episode of Rampage in Chicago.
Yeah.
And that's great. Giving Mercedes her own themed episode Dynamite for her to make her AEW debut. Hopefully that's an indication of the plans they have for her and the women's division as a whole. I mean, was it like on the last two collisions we've had two women's matches, right?
Yeah.
So it's a step in the right direction.
The episode opposite Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
They put on two women's matches. So good job, Tony. We're getting there, baby. They really, honestly, my prediction on this is going to be some sort of money metaphor because, of course, Monet, but also the Rainmaker. They might. Do you think they're going to do a double dip on this? They're going to announce both of them? You don't think so?
No, I think they're going to. I could be wrong. I think they're going to give Mercedes her own huge debut and Okada his own debut, assuming Okada ends up in AEW.
Okay. Sounds.
Like if Okada debuted during the course of Revolution, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and dive into some questions from the Friendos.
This one stings a little bit from Sebastian Garcia. If Luke Owens showed up to Going in Raw, what would he whisper to Larson as he takes his place?
Whoa, that's a good question right there.
That stings.
Yeah, it would be something polite because he's British, or it'd be like
also because Luke's a really nice guy.
He's a really nice guy, but maybe he's kind of a snake deep down. He'd be like, "Bollocks off, you wanker."
I'd probably laugh if he said that.
Jogger off, wanker. Oi, oi, oi.
Yeah. I'd start laughing.
That's what I want. I want Rude Luke Owen to host a show with me.
Oh, that'd be something else.
All this wrestling bollocks. Jogger off, you wanker. Oh, man, that's good. What a great question. Ramster says, I miss Money in the Bank matches at WrestleMania. It'd be cool to see a big ladder match for the U.S. title. What about Paul versus Owens versus Knight versus Styles versus Orton?
We're probably getting that Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, it seems like
in the
that.
chamber.
I don't know about LA Knight and Styles being in there, but I guess it's possible. Oh, yeah, they're on SmackDown, huh?
They're all on SmackDown, yeah.
They're all on SmackDown.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Put Solo in there, and if you're going to do Randy versus Solo, you can use that match to set it up. Dakota Ham.
Dakota Ham.
With Rock reportedly pushing
Ham.
to win at Mania, I can't see Roman being cool with losing to Rock. Do you think Roman would be cool with it?
He's got the tribal chief setup. I think if look, we know that Roman, has a heavy say in his own creative. But I think that if The Rock might have come in and been like, "Hey, big dog, one day you're gonna be the biggest star of $7 production while I'm running the United States of America, brother." And so, hop on this train. I learned some bad lessons from DC, but I'm ready to take over, brother.
There you go.
Maybe, I don't know. I would think that Roman would be like, "Hey, whatever's gonna make us all a bunch of money, then let's do it." And if Marcus Shapiro and Ari Emanuel and The Rock all say this is going to make a bunch of money, I think the tribal chief will probably buy into it.
If the idea is Rock wins the first and then Roman, wins the second.
Yeah. I mean, hey, that's one thing to consider too. And I don't know if people would consider his best case, worst case, whatever. But Cody, it could be 42. If they do twice in a lifetime, and it's Rock Roman this year, and it's Rock Roman next year, then it might be a little while for Cody.
It could be a while.
That's a possibility. John Hosey says, "We know it's better to main event night 2 of WrestleMania compared to night 1. Is it better to be the opener for night 2 or night 1, though?" I say the opener for night 2. Yeah. People are buzzing about it because night 1's always better. And then you go into night 2 and it's like, oh man, I'm going to continue this momentum. People are expecting big things. So I'm going to say that.
The case for opening night 1 is it's on you to get the whole show, the whole weekend off on a good foot. Mm-hmm. And so I don't remember what opened.
Cena Austin Theory opened night 1 last year. Yeah. Big old turd.
Never mind then. Shavon here says, if you guys were to compare NXT's top 4 stars now, Mello, Trick, Braun, and Ilya, to the OVW class of 2002, who best fits whose role?
All right. That's a good one. Braun's Brock.
Okay. Who's Dave? Batista.
I think Dave is
probably
Ilya, and then Trick is Cena, Mello's Orton.
Okay. Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Tequila Mockingturd.
That's a great name.
It's a great name. What do you think it would take for a working relationship between AEW and WWE to be established? Well, there's this place called Hell, and if it got really chilly there, it would take one company buying. It'd take Endeavor buying AEW.
Maybe. If there was an olive branch extended by WWE to AEW, because I think it's probably a situation where, to a degree, Triple H considers AEW competition, therefore, want nothing to do with it. Also, Tony Khan's got a massive chip on his shoulder based on...
Yeah, he does.
Whether it's the idea that WWE is trying to tamper with contracts, program opposite him. He's got a lot of issues with how WWE has conducted business in relation to AEW.
He's very emotional.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
So if Triple H were to call up Tony Khan and be like, and try to patch things up in that regard, which I don't see happening, then maybe.
Yeah, I don't think he cared.
But I don't think Triple H cares.
If it was something that he really wanted to do, but I don't. Yeah, you're right. I think that if Tony trying to be a disruptor brand as opposed to Scott DAmore trying to be a friendly brand and understand his role. I think Tony Khan's like, hey man, we got a big deal over here.
Yeah.
White Brownie says if it does end up being Cody, Drew, Seth at Mania, and they open night 1, who should get the main event slot? Becky versus Rhea or Bayley versus Io? So let's say they actually give the women night 1 main event as an annual tradition thing.
Yeah.
For the Rumble. In my mind, it's easy. It's Io Bayley because I thought that segment was great. The history's there.
It was.
Triple H clearly just loves Bayley and Io. He loves Becky and Rhea too, especially Rhea. But right, I mean, I'm sure they'll develop a good story for them. But Bayley versus Io, that's my shit right now.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about if you win the Rumble, you automatically get a main event one night of WrestleMania.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that should just go with winning the Rumble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah.
Which one of the 2 women's matches do you think should main event though?
Well, based on that logic, I would say Bayley.
Oh, because she won the yeah.
Bayley and Io.
I kind of feel like, no disrespect to Rhea Becky, I think it's going to be a really good match.
Oh, it's going to be awesome.
I think Bayley Io is going to be, that could be like match of the whole damn show. They are phenomenal wrestlers. Let's see here. Dr. Howie says, what are the odds WWE Creative comes out of this Cody Rock situation looking like $1 million? What would it take for us to look back and be like, God damn, that was good stuff? By the way, I totally think that's possible too.
Yeah. I mean, if all of this information, misinformation, whatever you want to call it, is being put out there to cast doubt in people's minds that we're getting the match that seemed inevitable, Cody versus Roman, and they're going to tell a story with twists and turns that gets us there, that's actually compelling, as opposed to, say, what they did with when it was going to be Becky and Ronda at WrestleMania.
Yeah, it was booty.
And they had that thing where Becky was hurt. She had a bad knee. They're like, you got to go to our doctor. She says, no, I ain't going to your doctors. Well, you're suspended.
Yeah.
And by the way, Charlotte's taking your place.
Yeah.
And so Becky had to earn her way. It was just convoluted and not the most compelling stuff. That segment where they had the brawl backstage,
that was rad.
Was awesome.
Yeah.
It wasn't the fault of Charlotte or Becky or Ronda. It was just not very interesting creative. But if they can craft something that has actual real intrigue and has us on the edge of our seats wanting to know if Cody's going to get that match up until like the go-home episode of Raw before WrestleMania, then I'd say hats off to you, WB Creative.
You know, Brian Goretz, he was the man there for a very long time. You got to wonder how many of his stories went through that particular filter at the top. That maybe at this point he's like, hey, you know, Triple H might be more receptive to some of these ideas and more collaborative, less, you know, oh my God, the dude at the top is waking up and changing everything on a dime.
Yeah.
And if it's a more of a collaborative atmosphere, I mean, this might be wishful thinking, but if it's more of a non-confrontational collaborative atmosphere, we could be in store for some really cool stuff. I'm going to say this is specifically what happened on Friday would need to have a pretty decent explanation, even if it's a blurring of work and shoot, even if it's like Cody had his hand forced and so he was forced in that situation. And if that's explained on screen, if there's something that makes that make more sense, then I think, and then they end up sticking the finish, which, let's face it, is Cody showing up night 2, maybe even unexpectedly, and blowing the roof off that place.
Yeah.
Then you can look back and be like, God damn, they did a pretty good job with this. This was actually, I'm intrigued for next year, you know? If they can get us by the end of this to be like, oh man, this is what they did for 40. What are they going to do for 41?
Yeah.
They could still stick this.
They could.
They do need to make Friday make sense, though.
They do. And they definitely need to stick the landing. Blake here asks, if Creative didn't have plans for CM Punk until he signed last minute in November, did WWE really not have any WrestleMania plans in place for Seth Rollins that they could have used as plan B? Maybe the idea was for the Drew McIntyre feud to be the Mania feud, but once Punk came back, they kind of bumped it up the schedule a little bit.
That could be. Yeah, that could be. I don't know. It'll be interesting to find out if we ever do. Oh, yeah, we didn't really talk about this because I'll be honest with you, it kind of bores me anyways. Dave Matuszek says, with a new sports-centric streaming service in the works between ESPN, Fox, and WBD, could that potentially be the future home of AEW pay-per-views?
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
Yeah.
It could be.
That's just sort of like time will tell. You know? Yeah. It's potential, I guess.
This sports super streaming service.
Yeah. I read like a bunch of stuff on that like this morning from varying Twitter accounts, and I couldn't make heads. I'll be honest, I couldn't make heads or tails.
Because it was a thing where it's a super streaming service for sports, but then you can get access to it through Max. I saw that.
Yeah, but then also
or ESPN
you get
Plus.
Right, if I'm not mistaken, right now through Max you can watch TNT and TBS.
Oh, all right.
I think.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
Did I dream that? Oh no, you know what it was? It was NBA games.
Yeah,
live.
Yeah, I saw
going
that.
On.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
But then like I saw one tweet from somebody that said, you know, part of this will be you'll actually get to watch TNT and TBS through this streaming service, through Max or whatever. I don't know, man. I don't. And I'll be honest with you, like TV situations kind of bore me anyways. Like, okay, well, what channel do I watch my wrestling on? Okay, cool. I'll watch it.
So what they're offering essentially is a 4-channel cable service.
Yeah, I guess. Kind of. Seems like it.
Or 3-channel. I can't remember. With the 3 brands or 4 brands?
I don't
ESPN
know.
and Warner's, and then
ESPN, Warner's, Hulu,
Fox.
Yeah.
High Plains Drifter says going to Vegas in 2 weeks. Eateries to check out. Good shows. I'll be getting my party on, so that's already taken care of. Like the last time I went to Vegas to go there for like shows, was a long time ago. I don't know if any of those shows still exist there.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know.
Probably a lot of good comedians there.
I would imagine
residencies and
residencies.
Got list.
As far as eateries, I don't know. We just went to like the White Castle on the Strip's pretty good.
We were really tired. We were walking around a lot, and it just seemed really good, and it was really good.
Most of the times when we've been to Vegas, the one time we were to Vegas together, it was like food, what's convenient.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It wasn't like we were necessarily searching out places that
find this
got a great
fancy
reputation.
Steakhouse, and then go to the Gentleman's Club. Gotless said, are you both a fan of the new camera cuts and new graphics for certain superstars?
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of Twitter accounts break down some of the differences in the broadcast now, and I like the changes, emphasizing like soaking in moments as opposed to cutting from them, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'm down for them. I like
same.
Forbes, this is a good point here. I forgot to bring this up. Forbes says, if it is Seth Cody at Mania, should Seth win? He's already lost to him multiple times, and it could make the belt look bigger. That's my main issue with Seth versus Cody.
Yeah, Seth
nobody can win that match. Like, nobody should win that match. You know what I mean? Or nobody should lose that match.
That's why you have Drew McIntyre in there, and he pinned Seth.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. But then it sort of completely kills Seth's whole reason for the match.
Yeah.
Is I want to prove that I'm better than you.
Well, if you add Drew to that, then Seth never has an opportunity to prove to Cody that he's better than him.
Yeah, I know, but like, do you see what I'm saying? Like,
no,
that's the point. Like, that's his central thesis. And yeah, Drew is the disruptor of that, but it sort of defeats the whole purpose of Seth pitching Cody on the title in the first place.
It does.
And if Cody loses, okay, he's supposed to be the face of the company guy. How do we, like, that's going to kill the crowd.
Yeah.
But he's already beat Seth 3 times.
I know. What more does he have to prove?
Yeah, that match doesn't even make sense.
Not really. Alex Foster, Steve, how would you attempt and probably fail? Wow, not a lot of confidence in you to assert dominance over Nick Aldis if you were on SmackDown. So you seem to think that if you were on Raw, Adam Pearce was your general manager.
Easy.
You could easily manipulate him to get what you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
How would you do that to Nick Aldis?
Flattery. I'd be like, man, Aldis, you really got Aldis on lock. Oh, I see what you did there, Steve. Well done. What match would you like?
Oh, he just roll his eyes at you.
Nah, bro. Look, I'm like Del Rio. On camera, maybe not so much, but in person, And I know you like to deny this, but I'm a very charming individual.
Really?
You've known me for too long. That's the problem. With Nick Aldis, oh, man. Putty in my hands, Larson. Putty in my hands.
I'd like to see it.
But here's the thing. Not as fun, too much effort. That's why I'd prefer being on Raw brand with Pierce. An absolute mess, a disaster. It'd be fun to come to work and fuck with them.
Okay. I feel like if you were able to get Nick Aldis's good graces, though, that's smooth sailing then.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that, though.
And if you trust in your charm that much, that should be no problem for you.
It's not Aldis that I don't trust, because then if you're on SmackDown, you got to deal with Heyman and his shenanigans.
Hey, maybe not for much longer. Wait till after WrestleMania.
You got the walking bad luck charm carrying Cross there. Yeah. Not into that.
Yeah.
There are too many people going around SmackDown like Damage Control laughing. They'd be laughing at me behind my back in Japanese. I'd be like, I don't even know what you're saying, dude. Like, that's where I'm self-conscious maybe now that you're giggling at me. And then I drop an L to like Grayson Waller. I'm like, now I'm humiliated.
I know.
Sitting there against Austin Theory on the ropes, like kicking my feet up. That's not good.
You're stuck in the 6-month feud with Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, just taking L's left and right.
Exactly. I'm not into that just because I'm self-conscious, because Damage Control is laughing at me and Heyman decided to bury me or something. I don't know. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, hey, we'll see you around.
Goodbye.